Hello everyone, in today's video I'm doing some dark floral nails. I have this board on Pinterest where I put any pictures that I like the colour combinations or the pattern, and I think it might translate to nails. So today I'm going to try and do something similar to this design on my nails. So to do that I'm starting off with a black base. I'm just using a regular old black gel polish, just your standard black. You could use whatever base colour you like, but I do like that the black keeps it, it stops it from being too, like spring manicure look, if you know what I mean. And it's also great if you want floral nails but you don't want to be too pastel or too bright or too pink or anything like that. But you could absolutely just use whatever colour you want underneath and just change the flowers on top accordingly to match. I did do 2 coats of the black and fully cured each layer. So next I'm going to do like a sketch pencil outline of like the places that I want to put my leaves. So I just mixed some clear top coat and some white together to make my milky white mixture. If you've already got a milky white you could use that, but my white was quite bright and I didn't want a bright white for this step. So I'm really just putting pretty much just drawing where I want the leaves. So I'm doing the leaves first because I want them to be in the background, and I'm doing some fern leaves and some regular leaves. The reason that I wanted to use a milky white rather than a bright white is, I don't know if you've ever put colours over a bright white, but they are quite vibrant, and I didn't want my colours to be too vibrant. But if I put them straight onto the black, specifically my greens, the contrast or the opacity, it just wasn't enough. It wasn't vibrant enough. So bright white is too bright, but no white underneath is just not bright enough. Now at this stage, these don't need to be perfect leaves because you're going to cover them with green anyway. So don't spend too much time trying to get this perfect. It's just really getting the base down so that you can cover this with green. I'm going to be using 2 main greens for my leaves, both kind of a khaki, whichever it is, green colours. One is more cool toned and one is more olivey, warm toned, but you will see that when they come up. So once I've finished my white pencil marks, I'm going to call them pencil marks, but they're obviously not done with a pencil. Once I finish those, I'm going to fully cure them and then move on to my greens. So now I'm taking my first green. I didn't press record on the little finger, sorry. This one's the cooler toned sagey dusty green. They're all leafy greens, but I'm just putting that over the fern leaves. It doesn't need to be perfect. If any of the white shows through, it kind of gives it like a natural highlight, but I do actually put actual highlights on later on. So I'm just, putting that on. I cure each nail for 5 seconds after I move on to the next one, and I do all of the green, the main green bits here, with just flash curing. I do want to flash cure because when I switch to the other green, there are some places where the leaves touch and I don't want the colours to kind of mix together. So I'm flash curing between each nail and each leaf. So now for the other leafy leaves. The other leaves are the other khaki. I'm just going to stick to khaki. The other khaki green, which is more of an olivey, warm-toned green. Still a nice leafy green. You can use whatever leafy greens you like. You could use the same leafy green and just add a bit of black or white to it to give a bit of difference in colour. So now I have taken the original dusty sagey green, and added white to it, and I'm using that to add a highlight to the center of the fern leaf. I don't know if it is a fern, but just that leaf, and also along each leaf. Again, there isn't really that much technique to this. I'm not applying it extra careful or anything. It's not necessarily a step that you have to do, but I do think that it adds something to the overall look and just gives it more texture and dimension and depth and kind of just brings it to life. I think it does anyway. But like I said, you don't have to do this, and it does add time to the manicure. So for the other leaves, I think this is more important than the highlighting on the other leaves. This adds texture to the leaves to make them look like leaves rather than just teardrops. So I basically just added a bit of darker green to the olivey green and put a line down the center and then a V shape. And you could stop here. You don't need to add the flowers. This looks cool as it is. But of course I did go on and add the flowers. So I used 3 different pinks, a darker pink, a bright pink and a pale pink. Obviously you don't need that many pinks, you can just add white to them to make them lighter or darker. Obviously lighter, make it, yeah, okay. Anyway, I'm adding some flower shaped blobs to the nails, and I'm strategically placing these in places where maybe my leaves didn't turn out quite as good as I had hoped, or just wherever I think looks good. Putting 1 big flower on each of them, although I did put 2 on this ring finger. And again, these don't need to be perfect, just kind of floral-esque shapes. If you didn't want to do this kind of flower, you could just do, the regular rose, classic rose flower that I feel like everybody and their mother has done in nail art, and there are a million videos on that. I might even have a video on roses, but they're really easy to do and they would look great on this as well. And you could do these flowers in any colour you like, purple, blue, anything, or just skip the flowers altogether like I said. But anyway, I'm doing these pink ones, and I did do the light pink first. I don't know if I mentioned that. I'm starting with the lightest pink. So once I was happy with that, I cured it, and now I'm going in with my medium pink and using that kind of to make like an ombre or just some colour variation in the petals, because again, if you've looked at petals close up, I don't think they're often just one uniform colour. Or just, the way that light hits things and it's darker in one place and lighter with the highlights and the low lights, and just giving it a bit of dimension and depth. And it isn't necessary, it isn't completely necessary. You could skip this, but I think it does add to the overall look, and I like it. So now I'm taking the darkest pink and trying to define some petals. Again, it's not a necessary step, but I do think that it adds to the finished look. I keep saying these things aren't necessary, but personally I really think they are. But I guess you could decide how much detail you want in your flowers and leaves and things like that. Once that's done, again, I do cure it. I'm constantly curing. If I'm not flash curing, I'm full curing. Curing all over the place. Okay. Then I take my olivey green colour and I am putting like a stem on each of these flowers. The bit at the bottom of the flower that holds, not just the sticky bit, but the bit that's like a shelf for the... Oh, I'm not making any sense at all. Because these are they're not buds, but they're not full-on flowers. They're still like opening flowers. I'm not a botanist, I don't know what I'm talking about, so yeah, I'm just putting some green bits on the flowers so that they look more like flowers and less like just chucked a couple of petals on there. And I also took some of the khaki green mixed with the black and added a few details to the stem bit things. So once that is cured, I'm going in with my lightest pink again, and I'm doing some kind of teardrop shaped blobs. Yeah, that's what we're going to call them. Some teardrop shaped blobs onto the nail in like the areas where I seem to have left a bit too much black showing, which weirdly is up the top or near the cuticle on most of my fingers. I probably should have planned out the placement a bit better, but I'm just doing a few blobs on. These are going to be like little tiny flower buds or tiny little flowers. I don't know what the flower is called, that has tiny little flowers like this. I'm sure there's more than one. But after I cured that, I then took the green colour and, well, any green colour. I think I used like the darker khaki green, the darker olivey green with the black mixed in, and I just put a little bit of that green onto the little dots and then dragged it to make a little stem. And I'm trying to make the stems all kind of converge into one spot so that they become like a bunch of flowers. I'm going to layer these and do another layer of the dots in a lighter colour. I've mixed white in with my pink because the flowers that are closer to me are going to have more light on, you know, just to give the depth and dimension. And also, if you just layered the same colour on top of each other, they just all, you wouldn't have separate dots of flowers. It would just all blend together into one giant blob of colour. I really don't know if I'm making sense. I hope watching it you can see more what I'm doing. But I'm trying to build layers of flowers, so it's like a little bunch of tiny little flowers. And again, I did go in with the green and add a little stem to each of those tiny little dots that I put on in that layer. And I think when you start doing that, like as you do each layer, it looks more and more like a little bunch of tiny little flowers rather than some weird dots on your nail. I almost regretted it when I did the first set of dots with green. I thought, what have I done? But I think once they were finished, it looked quite nice and added just a little bit of something to the nails and the design. So I finished those off by adding in some of the brighter pink just to add little splotches of colour basically. How many flowers you do on, or how many leaves you do, is really up to you, and you know, the length of your nail and just your personal preference on what you think looks good. I thought I'd show you my palette just so you could see that. And I am double top coating these nails because there are so many different layers of colours and things. They can be a bit lumpy, so doing 2 coats of top coats kind of helps to smooth that out so you don't have lumpy bumpy bits in different areas. You do want to be careful when doing nails like this that you watch how thick your layers are. You want to keep them nice and thin, not only so they cure nicely, but also so you don't have, you know, a lumpy bit where your flower is or your leaf is. But yeah, those are the finished nails. I love these nails. I love how these turned out. I wish that I had not put on a peel off base coat underneath and I had done this to all of my nails and kept it on for a month, but I didn't. Sadly, I have a peel off base coat on, so these don't last very long. But they're just, I love them. They look great up close where you can see all the detail in the leaves and the flowers, but they also look great from a distance like this, you know, just overall almost kind of like a wallpaper look on your nails, which doesn't sound great, but I love them. And like I said, they're great for winter. They're also great for spring. I just really like them. And I think you can definitely tell that they were inspired by that picture on my Pinterest. So if you want to follow me on Pinterest, go ahead. I think my name's just Frances Fawcett. If you don't want to follow me on Pinterest, that's cool too. You can really see the detail in those leaves there. I think those leaves may be my favourite part of the design. I love the whole thing and the detail in this little flower too. Overall, I just really like these nails and they turned out far better than I imagined. A little bit time consuming, I will admit, but like I said, you don't have to do it on all your nails. You could do a couple of feature nails. But yeah, I love these. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thanks for liking and all those lovely things. And if you've got any requests for another video, let me know. If not, don't let me know. But thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye.